welcome back to another episode of First to the Floor. Ben Vallis here. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. It's time to pour out the mailbag with our full Antipodean crew. We've got the prime time slot here, 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, which I think is roughly 5 a.m. US Eastern Standard Time. We'll see about that. Alongside me, Jake Eisenberg, Jackson Bauer, and our New Zealand correspondent, Joe Tiddy. How are we doing, guys?
Yeah,
smashing.
I feel honored. I'm joined by the OGs here. It's beautiful.
We're just reminiscing about Jake's first appearance. Do you remember it, Jackson?
I don't know.
No,
Sorry.
Jackson wasn't on there, I don't believe.
I'll be that guy so
there?
you can tell the story.
Yeah, Jackson, I believe it was just myself, Ben, and Joe, and a bottle of Jack, I think, was the fourth member.
So you had an honorary Jack /
An honorary Jackson, that's right.
Yeah, well,
the place is much richer for having you in it. Sorry, Ben. Just wanted
to. No, of course. It's it's the Aussie prime time. We're gonna keep it real loose tonight. I have a beer. I believe Jake has some sort of fireball. I don't know if there are any other beverages on the pod, but you guys are welcome to crack one at any point or not. But it is the NBA Finals mailbag session. Shout out to our Discord for dropping a bunch of mailbag questions for us on short notice that we're going to get to tonight. Tomorrow, 9 p.m. US Eastern Standard Time, we've got Chris Forsberg coming on for a full Celtics Mavs series preview and a little insight into the mood around the team there in Boston. Then Wednesday night on the eve of the finals, Dan Greenberg, a.k.a. Stool Greeny of Barstool Sports, is coming on for the calm before the storm, a little fireside chat. Break out the whiskey, put the cat on the lap there as you listen to the wood crackle in the fire, and just talk, have a little yarn about the NBA Finals before we dive into the nervy portion of the month of June. Before we dive into the mailbag, a quick around the room, guys. How are we feeling, like broadly speaking, heading into these finals? Jackson, why don't we start with you?
I felt so chill and so calm and so light until about 3 p.m. this afternoon when I started to think about this podcast. It was like, I'm like, this is the greatest time to be a fan. You know, there's no pressure yet. The game's about to start. You're just kind of getting your ducks in order and whatnot. And then like, I don't know what did it. I heard someone say Luka. Someone pronounced Luka Doncic's name Luka for like the 4,000th time. And I just got angry, and now I haven't been able to stop thinking about it, and now the anxiety is well and truly rising. How's everyone else feeling?
Mate, I'm feeling so relaxed about this series. I'm about to jinx us. I can't even.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Okay.
Say more.
I'll save it for the good bits, but I'm just giving you that's the taste.
Okay.
That's how I'm feeling.
This is big. Yeah.
Go on,
I'm happy.
As the resident, I don't want to say
it.
Pessimist, resident
Hater.
Pessimist, hater. Yeah. I don't know, which I think is good to have. But that is big / potentially worrying news. It's just so long. It's just so long between games at the moment, and so settling into this week off, booked myself a nice massage today. All above board, no Robert Kraft type shenanigans going on here, but in the CBD of Hobart, it's time to self-care. Booking myself a yoga class, a Pilates class, and Chris Tapps is rehabbing his calf, and I'm rehabbing my mind in preparation of the terrorism that's going to be performed on my brain by Luka Doncic in the next couple of days here.
And all that good work is going to come for nothing come Friday, right?
yeah. The self-care does nothing.
Mate, I'm so relaxed. I'm just chilling out watching Married at First Sight with the missus, really hoping that Stephen Pitterpy get it together and make it work, man. Like that.
Wow.
Honestly,
Dallas.
That's over a higher level of concern for Stephen Pitterby right now.
That's
Shout
what
out to
you're
Pitterby if he's listening.
That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, my short-term fixation is finding people who talk really positively about the Celtics just having absolutely every chance of winning this series and just consuming all of that content. So the fact that you're on here, Joe, bringing those vibes, I'm excited to hear what you've got to say. Let's get to the mailbag, shall we? Very quickly, before we do that, if you enjoy this show, check out the How About Them Celtics podcast. Check out the Celtics Lab podcast, both awesome podcasts under the CLNS media umbrella. If you like this show, you'll definitely enjoy those guys as well. So check them out on their own YouTube channels or the CLNS YouTube channels. Our first question in the mailbag from Discord user Cruz Brother says Mavs quality of opponent during their quote best D in the league run to the end of the season. Does context need to be added, or is this truly who they are? Jake, I happen to heard from a little birdie that you did quite the stats deep dive into this question. So
whoa, come on, Jake.
Answer to this question.
Well, shout out to the Discord for helping us with a lot of this stuff. But the Mavericks have been dubbed the best defense in the league in the back portion of the season here. It is a very small sample size of them being like an elite defense. Like, you've got to really isolate it to the last 20 games of the regular season. Because if you go, so there's 32 games post deadline when they make these moves. If you expand that to like the 26 games, then they become the 14th ranked defense. So like, we're kind of cherry picking like the exact moment for this kind of narrative and this defense from the last 20 games. Like, because that excludes in the 6 games previous 2 beatdowns by Indiana, a beatdown by Boston, a loss to Cleveland, and a loss to Philly. So we're excluding that bad stretch, and we're giving them the benefit of the doubt for some reason, which the Celtics would never get. But in the last 20 games of the season, starting with the Miami game. And so last 20, it's a pretty soft schedule. The Heat, Warriors, no Steph, no Draymond. Give up 126 to OKC, but no Luka. They have one very signature moment in this last stretch. It was against Denver, 105, 107, Kyrie, left-hand game winner. And that felt like the real turning point. But then it's Spurs, Jazz, Kings, Rockets, Hornets, Heat, Pistons, Thunder. It's a pretty soft stretch there. And then you also put in the context of March, April basketball, which is like kind of a joke depending on which night you watch. So you can easily kind of nitpick this defense. Obviously, they played well against OKC. We can kind of dive into that as well. And they played well against the Wolves. I'm not sure the defense is quite statistically as good as some people are kind of making it out to be based on the small sample size.
Thoughts, guys?
Yeah, agree. I completely agree. Look, let's just cast our minds back to 2022 when the Celtics just ran riot for the last half of the league, the last half of the season, pardon me. Oh, that looks tasty, Jake. Anyway, look, everyone was like, yeah, but are they really like that? Man, like 20 games is not nothing. I like the 20-game rule. Says that there's some sort of permanence, there's some reality, but it's not the same as 80 games, man. Like, everyone has a hot 20-game stretch if they're good. Like, the Clippers killed us, in the middle of their hot 20-game stretch. It's just not the same. So I don't think you can put the same stock in it as you can put in our, like, net rating. For me, this is a series with a net rating really matters. I think it is indicative. It will prove to be indicative in this series.
Yeah, I never hear anyone talk about like the excellent level of consistency that we've played with all season. Think about that 2022 season. Everything prior to that Derek White trade, what would you say the average performance of the team was during that stretch? Like a 4 out of 10, if you're being generous. Yeah. The back end of that season. Yeah, the back end of that season, what did you say? 9s, 9.5s? Like, we weren't just beating teams, we were beating them like, and it looked sexy as well too. And then it all sort
great
of
word. Yeah,
right. And it all kind of grounded to a halt, I think, about round 2 against the Bucks. So yeah, look, I think you would favor, like, as Simmons likes to say, what are we? We're 76-20.
That's right.
Or 74-20. Yep. All season. That's much stronger than, a 20 game or an 18 game stretch against, the dregs of, whatever conference you're talking about. It does kind of play back into people are taking away, the level of opponents that we had to play during the playoff run. I say, if you want to be generous to the Mavs side of things, it's basically a give and take. Yeah. You've established this like league leading defense against dregs and against opponents that are clearly lesser than you. And we just happen to meet them in the playoffs, but they're amazing. And we're, playing nobody. So I think it's a bit of a wash, but I put more stock in the season long. Same as Joe.
Yeah, I tried to dive into it as well. The Mavs had the best defensive rating, at least in April, with a defensive rating of 107. And for reference, their D rating in January, 120, February, 111, March, 112. And for reference, the Celtics had a 109 defensive rating in April. So a little bit worse than the Mavs' 107 defensive rating in the same month. But the Celtics' 109 defensive rating was basically their average D rating throughout the rest of the season, the regular season. So they were stable with a really solid defense.
Look, let's be honest. A D rating is something to generally be avoided. Like, just keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
I'll keep my D rating to myself. But as far as the Celtics D rating, we got to get this stuff out there. The Mavs' opponents in April, though, when their defense was at its best, and I might be overlapping with some of your stuff here, Jake. Warriors, Hawks, Warriors, Rockets, Hornets, Heat, Pistons, Thunder. Of those teams, they had an average offensive rating of 113, which is 3 points lower than the league average O rating for the regular season. So Dallas held a really solid defensive rating over a group of overall below average NBA offenses. So if you really dive into it, when their defense was at its best, their offense, their opponents rather were sort of subpar, at least offensively. So I wouldn't read that much into it, but if you look into their playoff defense, which we really need to focus on a little bit more, it's obviously gone up a tick from there, Jake. So
yes, this is two-part. One, I think we want to pour a little cold water on the elite defense. This is a good defense. Right. I think this Mavs defense is better than people's perception of it. Like, going into the Oklahoma City series, I thought that the Thunder's offense was going to tear them apart. And I still don't think I was wrong, because Chet Holmgren shot 27% from three. And then they just stopped guarding him, and he stopped taking threes. All season, that Oklahoma City team had a bunch of guys shooting way above their head, career high 3-point numbers, and it was is that going to hold in the playoffs against playoff defense when the chips are on the table when you're really young? And it didn't. Lou Dort fell apart, airballing threes. Chet Holmgren refused to shoot him. J-Dub fell apart. And all of that is true. And if SGA doesn't foul PJ Washington in the corner with 2 seconds to go, the Thunder force a game 7, and who knows what happens. It's funny, these playoff narratives just swing on these tiny plays, but you forget, the Thunder were kind of there despite their team not actually playing that well. So, and then also that Thunder team played so much Josh Giddey, refused to go away from him for big chunks, and he's just a non-threat at all. He shoots 32% on wide open threes. That's how. The Mavericks have completed their investigation into Josh Giddey and decided that there is nothing at all to see here. There's nothing. Yeah, you can move along here. You can move along here. And then the Wolves had a below average offense all season long, 17th ranked offense all season long, and a 23rd ranked clutch offense. And they just ran into the perfect matchup / enjoyed some Caleb Martin hot shooting against Denver to help them get through that series. And it came back to earth against the Mavs. So I'm they haven't faced a team like the Celtics, which was the Pacers and the Celtics were best offenses in the league with a bullet. Derek White will shoot 12 threes a game. Al Horford has shot more than 10 threes a game 4 times in the playoffs. This team loves shooting threes and absolutely believes in their ability to do so. Mm-hmm. And so this is just a completely different battle for this Mavs defense, who I both want to pour cold water on, but also want to be it's going to surprise some people, I think, because I think Jason Kidd's a good defensive coach. Yep. It's going to be Miami Heat light is kind of my take on it.
Well, Stephen Roells in the chat says, I'll add to that, the vast majority of their defensive numbers are coming from an excellent rim protection, which is obviously diminished versus a team such as Boston. The Celtics, we all know this, you can't help off of anyone. Clippers, OKC, Wolves, there's at least one person within their starting lineup and typically off the bench as well that you can sag off of and collapse the paint, pack the paint there. With the Celtics, you typically can't do that. We'll see what kind of rhythm and form KP comes out in, but I dare say if they do sag off of him, if they do make that poor decision, that's only going to expedite KP rather getting back to his rhythm. So it's just a different look for the Mavs there. So it'll be interesting to see how the Celtics stretch their defense. Anything else on this one, Joe Jackson, before we move on?
Specifically on the Mavs defense, I think you make a great point, Jake, about how if the Thunder force Game 7, who knows? I think realistically, the Dallas deserved to win that series, but I was still surprised, so I can be wrong. Sorry, but
no, We don't want to hear that now that you flipped to the Celtics.
I didn't. Here's my thing is like, man, Dallas was up 20 in Game 7, and I still can't explain it. I'm actually like, because of my deep love for the Joker, it makes me sad that it happened. I can't explain how it happened, but they just don't do that against Denver. I'm convinced. And I think at the end of the day, I just think of them as a 5 seed still. I'm sorry. They've done extremely well, and they're a good 5 seed, but they're a 5 seed, man. And look, the Celtics net rating, I keep coming back to it. It doesn't tell the story. I don't think we're the 86 Celtics. I don't think we're the 96 Bulls. I don't think our net rating is quite, I don't think we're that good. But sheesh, man. Like, it's not for nothing. In the chat, when it was like, I think this is the NBA. I'm going to say this. I'm going to go on this rant again. People are like, Wolves Nuggets is the NBA Finals. Well, guess what?
So ridiculous.
None of the two of them are even playing in the actual NBA Finals. You wankers.
Thank you.
I couldn't believe the disrespect for the Celtics' body of work of the regular season. Look, you can think that there's vulnerabilities in crunch time, and that's why I didn't like us against the Nuggets. Anyone else, man? Come on. Come on.
Absolutely.
They think the Eastern Conference is like the NBL. It's like, oh my God, the East. Like, it's like, sorry.
The New Zealand NBL.
Yeah.
Surely not that bad.
Shout out Torrey Craig, MVP 2017 or something like that.
Yeah.
There you go. Former Denver Nuggets, Torrey Craig. This one is from Steven, again in our Discord. He asks, if you could add one role player, Joe, non-starting role player from any Celtics team over the last 20 years to this current team, who would it be?
Can I say Marcus Smart?
Okay. So I've got a list. here.
2013 Marcus Smart.
So I would say,
I want to think about it, but
so no, this is good because I've got a list here, and I would ran through from like the 08 team to like through the early Tatum Brown era, and I'm so impressed, Joe. And I'm glad we have you on for some of these questions because you're like, you nail some of the historical stuff. Obviously, this is not that long ago, but I thought that I was going to have the silver bullet here. But Marcus Smart is a great choice. I got some of the numbers here too. But go ahead.
No, I need a bit of time to think about this, but that was like first thought. I just love Marcus. Yeah. I wish he was here. I wish he was here for all of this.
Like Well, to the Marcus Smart point, we don't have to decide who the choice is yet, but the premise was non-starter in Marcus's 15-16 season, 21 years old, and his 22-year-old season. He played 61 games, only started 10, played 79 games, only started 24 games. So I think we can definitely take sophomore Marcus Smart if we want and put him onto this team. Just so we know, he shot 28% from 3 this year and 25% from 3 the year previous. Just so we have the idea of the type of player we're getting. But 22-year-old Marcus Smart is a very nice, if you just hand me, we're going to get some other guys. That's a nice. That's a nice guy to have. Just a psycho on the bench.
Just an absolute rabid dog.
Yeah.
There you go.
Have you got some nominations? Oh, sorry, Jake.
Well, I've got some nominations here, Jackson. Jackson, do you have any that have come to mind?
Oh, absolutely. All right. So there's my joke answer and there's the real answer. So the real answer is Jordan Crawford. He's got the of the week. 23 points, 6.7 rebounds, 61% field goal shooting. Plug him in for the first 3 games, and that's a wrap. I'll disqualify myself from the full 20 years because I've only really was an active Celtics fan and watching some from about 2012, 2011, something like that. So I've gone 2015, 2016 Kelly Olynyk.
Nice.
Based on 10 points, 4 rebounds, 1.5 assists, and 40% from 3 that year. So I think he would be a very, very suitable and favorable big man rotation piece, maybe over the likes of your Cornets and your Tillmans and whatnot. But I'm going to go the big O.
Well, yeah, if we were talking in the context of this Dallas matchup, like he's kind of your. I talked about wanting to get Kelly Olynyk in the offseason. Thinking he's KP light. He's kind of KP light. And so you kind of got your KP insurance there. Fucking great choice. Ben, you got any here?
I did not do a stats deep dive. I went purely on vibes, which if you read The Ringer, apparently is a possible concept. Danny T, man. Daniel Tice.
Nice.
Stretch big. Obviously came off the bench, for the most part in his Celtics tenure. Knows the system, knows the personnel, knows the culture, knows how to get it done in green.
Rockers.
Danny T. And in a similar vein, because I'm looking at bigs and I'm looking at wings, because depth-wise, those are the additions that we need. Bainesy.
Yes.
On your Bainesy.
Absolutely.
Stay out of the shower, Bainesy. He's corner 3-point shooting.
Don't stay out of the shower. What are you talking about?
Australia
More
is
shower
much
time.
bigger than Slovenia, man.
No, that's where
Massive.
he gets injured.
Oh, true.
Just toppled over by the weight of his own member.
That's right.
Man, he nearly died from that. it was dark.
I do not have that problem.
And then just quickly two more. James Posey, which I think we got in the comments before, and Marquise Daniels in a similar vein to James Posey.
James Posey was going to be my nominee. Yeah.
I don't know if Marquise Daniels' 3-point shooting really holds up in the modern era, but as a big, lengthy wing and a consummate vibesman, Marquise Daniels could absolutely get some rotation minutes on this team.
Yeah, these are all fantastic. I think James Posey, in my opinion, is the correct choice, the choice. 6'8", 6-man, can come in, defend positions, get you 20 on any given night. Like, there's a reason he was the guy in that 08 season. He won another title with the Heat, right, in 06. Couple others for you here. Rasheed Wallace, the Boston version, obviously. Again, similar to Kelly O, like kind of gives you that Porzingis insurance a little bit. 2012/2013 Jeff Green. 26 years old, 39% from three, 6'8", hyper athletic, giving you some switchability, some versatility, a lineup, Tatum, Jalen, and Jeff Green. That's like pretty elite. And then I've got Marcus Morris in Tatum's rookie year, Flask Dad, to go back to an old nickname we probably have not heard for a long time. But he was really good in that season, man. Like, I vividly remember a game winner against the Oklahoma City Thunder, which he definitely traveled on, but he knocked down. And he was a huge part of the vibes before the next season got destroyed. And in that same year, Scary Terry, 23-year-old Scary Terry, was electric coming off the bench all through those playoffs. And I think any one of these guys, I think, would be amazing. But Posey, I think, is like the obvious choice.
Yeah.
Oh, Tony Allen. Oh, that's a great thought too. Yeah.
Jordan Crawford.
I think I like
really
Posey better.
Resonates with me.
The offense.
Yes.
You're gonna have to help off Tony Allen and then just that unlocks the Dallas defense.
Yeah, and he's gonna try and go up and dunk it after a dead ball and shred his ACL. That's problematic during the finals.
Man, I remember that day.
Same.
Oh, he was getting it together too. Anyway, sorry, moving on.
This is from T. Mackey in our Discord. He's in the chat here. Shout out Troy in the chat. What will happen when the Celtics are chased off the 3-point line by Dallas? My take is that they will shoot less threes. Anyone else got a take on this?
I don't. Jackson, you want to go for it? Take the first crack at this one.
I am severely lacking when it comes to my basketball strategy, hence why I'm on this show for the vibes and the beauty. No, I just my simplistic pea-brain take is we have more than enough players on the court at any one time who can dribble and pass and shoot. So I just think that there's going to be other opportunities that will present themselves, and someone will eventually get to the rim, and they have to change their shit back to keeping us out of the paint versus keeping us out of the 3-point line.
Yeah, both of our centers are on our 3-point shooters, so Lively's gonna have to make a choice, right?
Yeah,
they protect the rim, or they protect the other center. Like they just, this is a huge. I mean, this is a huge series for Al Horford, in my opinion.
Dude, that's the new mantra: is that it's always an Al Horford series.
It's always an Al Horford series.
It's always an Al Horford series, and which is good. Because he always steps up, man. Last finals, I've been going back to this stat. He shot 45% from three in the Golden State finals. The man is going to be ready to go in this series. But yeah, so firstly, I don't think that they're going to run us off the line. I think if I had to guess, I'm gonna guess that they're more likely to dare us to bomb away than to run us off the line. Because if you do run us off the line, okay, so are you sending Lively hard closeouts at KP? Is he able to beat that closeout? Is Luka hard closeouts on Drew? He's driving, Lively's helping, and then Drew's making. And then you got if you get the Celtics into your drive and kick game, I mean, then it feels like it's over. Yeah, that's
it is worse.
Yeah,
it's
if
way
you
worse.
get out of the paint and defend the perimeter and get the Celtics downhill, collapsing the defense in the paint and getting into that kick-out game, that's way worse. That's rhythm 3-point shots as opposed to the dreaded Tatum dribble shot, which I think they'll try and bait Tatum into that because that is like our favorite low percentage shot as a team.
If they try and start switching, that's going to be you're going to have to beat guys 1-on-1. And I do like some of the matchups here, but yeah, I don't think they're going to try and run us off too aggressively because I don't think they have the horses to kind of do it either. Because you're asking Luka to start like really chasing guys around, then that kind of unlocks the Celtics offense. But just make the right play, read and react, baby.
One more, and then we'll get to a quick ad read. This is from Steven, again, in the Discord. All of these are from the Discord, so I'm going to stop saying that. Which player on the Dallas Mavericks, Jackson, do you think will surprise Celtics fans the most?
Kyrie Irving when he shoots 10%.
Yeah, let's go.
And just stinks the place out. And everyone is surprised. Like, what the hell happened to this guy? I thought he was going to take us down. No, but in all seriousness, I have no data to back this up, but it just stinks like it's going to be Jaden Hardy. Just stinks like he's going to come off the bench and just go like 3 from 3 on everything, and he's just going to be a pain in the ass. I don't feel like I think like with everyone is, if you've been doing what I've been doing for the last week without basketball, you've been hyper analyzing, looking at all of the guys that they've got on their team, and I don't feel like any of their starting 5 would really take me, by surprise if they were to get hot or if they were to do, put up decent, numbers and whatnot. But I just feel like there's going to be some microwave, some Caleb Martin-esque presence off the bench. I don't think it's going to be Josh Green. I don't think it's going to be Dante Exum. That would be easier to swallow for me as an Australian. If they were great, it'd be hot going into the Olympics. That would be fine, but it's probably going to be Jaden Hardy.
Consolation.
I was going to say, who is the 8th man at the Australian Institute of Sport right now? I don't know.
That is frustrating about this Mavs team is that they were like kind of one of my teams I was like into throughout the season because of the Australian angle, and now I've got to turn on my boys. But,
good God, that's Patty Mills's music.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he tried a little bit in the Heat series in the first round. Not the series for him. I know, Joe. Do you have a guy that you're?
I actually think Jackson's. Look, we've seen Curry suck in big games. That's the thing that scars us as Celtics fans a little bit. Like, man, that guy misses a lot of shots, eh? Like, especially when he's kind of on the jumper buzz. Hey, when any player's on the jumper buzz, they're going to miss a lot of shots. And I can definitely see things going downhill for him, man. Like, just because we've experienced that as fans,
he's lost 10 in a row against the Celtics at this point.
Wow. Dare say he's going to win one in this series at some point.
Maybe not.
Maybe.
Oh,
maybe not. Maybe not. It's not impossible. I'm not sure if this is a surprise, but I think Derek Lively is going to surprise people.
Yeah.
I think the people haven't quite fully caught up to how good he is for a rookie. And even I was anchored to that idea over and over and over again. And he's just really, really good, man. Like, he's way too good for a rookie. Like, the Mavs tanking to get that draft pick and it being Derek Lively and it hitting this quickly and this, like, being this impactful so soon is just an insane result for them. I think he can play in a variety of lineups, makes good decisions with the ball in his hands. He's like legit 7 foot. It's crazy athletic. I think he's going to be like, damn, this guy's a bit of a problem.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Joe.
No, Ben, please go. I shoot my shot a lot here.
that's why we bring you on, man. Shoot that shot.
Shoot, Joe.
Just going to agree with Jake. He's a rookie, and people don't know on this stage yet, at least in the Eastern Conference.
And I think maybe the converse of that is that, what do we want to see the Celtics emphasize strategically? Spoons was all over it today, man. I just don't want to see. That lob game.
Yeah.
You know, if we just keep the lob game, and if Luka's hitting 3-pointer shooters in the corner, I'm gonna live with that. It's real static. It's actually, when you're playing with a guy like that, it's not necessarily a rhythm shot, It's like it's a gun to your head shot. It's like it feels like you're playing Russian roulette.
Yeah.
I better make this. Please
Luka
make
loves
the
it.
chamber be blank. Yeah.
But you're absolutely right, though,
hard way to
Joe.
play.
It's like the Nuggets Aaron Gordon loves. It's like there's one type of shot that is a 100% shot, and let's take any other option, Ben.
Yep.
I had Jaden Hardy as well. He played all 5 games in the mini series, averaged 7.5 points per game in just 10 minutes per game, and 60% from 3. So he might suffer from the lights too bright. Like at some point they reach their limit. Players who are sort of teetering on that sort of edge of the rotation, they get to a point where they become irrelevant the deeper you go into the playoffs. Also, Derek Jones Jr., I was surprised to find out today he's shooting 39.6% on threes. And Brian Barrett did more of a deep dive into that, like specifically the kinds of shots that he's getting. He did that on his podcast earlier today. And apparently, of all the sort of shooters left in the playoffs, he is by far the most wide open on all of his shots. Like the classification of wide open shots on NBAstats.com or stats.nba.com or whatever it is if you've got 6 feet of space between yourself and the defender or more, and he is averaging more of those looks than anyone else. The Celtics, with their defensive prowess, I think can close that gap literally quite easily. So I'm not so worried, but I think he might surprise people with how much he's improved his 3-point shot in recent weeks. We're going to come back and talk about Sam Hauser, but first, here's a quick word from Prize Picks.
Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. It is the most fun and exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. With Prize Picks, you could turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite sports this summer. You can make a Prize Picks lineup in as little as 60 seconds. You just need to pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and you're locked in. The finals means more on Prize Picks, and so do the star players. You get boosted payouts on select basketball stars that you won't find anywhere else. I've been cooking Spoonie and Ben by hammering more on Jaylen Brown points and Jason Tatum rebounds. Download the app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Download the app today and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy.
Sam Hauser, and as I jump back to our run sheet, this is asked by Icy. Asks, is Sam Hauser broken? Simply. Jake, I'll go to you. You've been one of the more astute Sam Hauser observers in his short tenure as a Celtic. So we'll ask you, is he broken? Is this short-lived? Can we depend on him going into the finals, or should we look elsewhere for 3-point offense?
It does feel like we're going to find out pretty quick, because these series, you lengthen your rotation back out to the guys you hope are going to play well in a series. It's like, okay, Sam, you've had 9 days off. I saw you shotgunning that beer in the aftermath of the Eastern Conference Finals in hopes of forgetting the last 2 rounds since the last time you hit a shot in the first round. So hopefully he's blacked out those 2 rounds and he's ready to go. This is the life as a guy that shoots only 3-point shots. Like Steph Curry goes through it. We've talked about it. 3-point variance for a guy where all of your offense comes from that specific spot. And like Tatum's able to find other ways to get his energy rolling in the right direction to unlock the 3-point shot. He might be broken. I think long term he's fine. I think long term there's going to be a Sam Hauser playoff moment or multiple. I believe in that. I think he's good enough. I think he has the skill to do that on both ends. He's an 8-year career, going back to college, 43% 3-point shooter on high volume. He is a shooter. But him airballing that like rhythm, energy, beautiful offense 3 in the Pacers series has me pretty concerned that he's going to be able to bounce back in a finals. But who knows, man? He might just hit his first shot and then he's back. That might be all it takes.
His shot, I'm just going to say the exact same thing. His shot is so real.
Yeah.
Like, he is a full real shooter. It's unlucky when he misses. So, but he's just going to win such a short leash that who knows what happens in this exact series. The sample size he's going to get to deliver it is just going to be tiny.
Yeah, Stephen Roll said, "Hey, Hauser hits the first three, the gun is going to explode," and it's that simple. Like I think back to Game 1 of the Miami series. I think he missed his first one or he missed his first two. Had that huge lead, and then it was 23-26, I believe, and it looked like it was going to become like a tight game. What happens? 3 straight threes from Sam Hauser, and I don't think, barring Game 2, the series was never close like again. So yeah, it's I fear he might be. But I think it's just going to take one. You get one at like, the 5-minute mark of the first quarter to push the lead to 8 or whatever it is. And that could be it there and then. So that's what I'm certainly hoping happens.
Yeah, he's still averaging 33.3% from beyond the arc in the playoffs, which is crazy given that in the last 5 games, 11.8% from 3. Yeah. So this is the slumpiest of slumps from Sam Hauser. And we've seen him, he goes through these little micro slumps, but he does bounce back. Bouncing back in the finals is the question, though, which is why it's on the mailbag here. So, fortunately, I think we've proven that we can do without his shot, but we're looking for things to make this next couple of weeks less stressful for us as fans. Sam Hauser going back to 40-something% from 3, or dare I say 50-something% from 3, would be fantastic. Next question from Ozra. They want to know the first of the floor / Celtics Reddit podcast origin story. I think we can zip through this because we've done this on the pod couple of times, and maybe this is a blueprint for anyone who wants to start a podcast, but a long time ago, back in 2018, I went on to Reddit.
It's 2017, wasn't it?
It might have been. The first episode was February 2018.
Okay, forgive me.
And I was just so deep into Celtics fandom and listening to all the pods and not having an outlet to share my own thoughts. And I went onto Reddit and was just like, I want to start a podcast. Can someone from this time zone please join me? And Jackson and Joe here joined me, and we were the Celtics Reddit podcast for a very long time. We'll fast forward a little bit because I said I'd do this quickly. Spoonie and I at, I think, Sullivan's Tap in Boston, very close to TD Garden. This is after Spoonie had joined the show as well. I should add, when we needed more people and when my lifestyle had changed and I needed people to pod with in the US time zone, I went back to Reddit and Spoonie responded. So just the luck of Jackson and Joe and Spoonie being the people like, yeah, I'll do that with you. And they're all like fantastic people, fantastically knowledgeable Celtics fans and podcasters as well. Like, I hope that if you follow this blueprint, you are that lucky as well, because that's just insane luck. And then later with Jake as well, we went out on Twitter. We needed one more. Like, and Jake Eisenberg responds like, yeah, I'll do it. And now we just have this, from my perspective, like all-star group of Celtics fans from around the world, and very, very knowledgeable at that. But Spoonie and I decided that we needed to change the name to non-Celtics Reddity to not be so exclusive. And that was a good decision. We changed the name to First of the Floor. More listeners, more audience members started piling in, and the audience has grown from there. And then at some point, we touched base with Celtics Blog and subsequently CLNS, and they have been very kind to let us pod for them under their network, which has kind of broadened our horizons as well, which I think is the very short version. Would you guys add anything to that?
Well, I still think it's quite funny that somewhere in my inbox there's like some sort of employment offer from SB Nation.
Yeah, right.
I got that. I was like, what? I do this for free, man.
Yeah.
Go on.
I'm pretty sure I was still getting $20 deposits into PayPal like months after they said that they would stop. And maybe it was a delay thing or not. But yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Was that private? My apologies. Just real quick. First of all, it's very sweet, Ben. Everyone on this podcast, everyone in the Discord, I love you all. You're fantastic. But Ben, Jake, Joe, Spoonie, the work you guys put in, the knowledge you bring to the table, absolutely unreal. I just completely steal all of your opinions and pass them off to people at work I speak to, and they think I know everything about basketball, and it's clearly fraudulent. One quick point. We can put this to the chat. We can answer at the end. We can answer now. What do you think the Celtics winning percentage is, regular season and playoffs included, since the very first episode of the first?
Oh, great question.
Podcast?
Man, I almost feel like I could actually, given enough time, without looking at the internet, I reckon I could figure it out.
How about put it in the chat, put it in the comments, and we'll reveal at the end of the show. Does that sound all right, Ben?
So have you figured this out already, Jackson?
I've got the exact number in front of me right here. Yeah, exact number.
This is the 2018 All-Star break, right before Kyrie Irving decided to sit out the rest of the season with fragments of something in his knee, which is right when we started cooking. It's got to be like win percentage like 600, 650.
Yeah, at least. There's only been one bad season.
We've had a
It's
good
in the
time.
six. It's in the 600s. It's in the 60s. Yeah.
Okay. I thought it could be in the low sevens. All right. Pretty impressive.
I'll just 650. I'll put that as my guess. 650 seems like a lot though, because what's the 50 win pace? It's only like 60%.
It's pretty good. Pretty good. Sorry, am I revealing this now? Or?
Yeah, reveal it.
We're all waiting.
That's fine. 64.65,
Wow.
320, and 175.
And no,
So I think we're doing 65 is pretty dead on. So I'd say we're doing our part for this team, and hopefully it results in a ring in 2 weeks' time.
That's like a 53 win pace. That's solid, dude. Brad Stevens and us equal part in the Celtics' success since that season.
I'll just say that the title celebrations on this channel, if we are lucky enough to experience that, will be, as the kids say, lit. We are going to have a very good time for months to come if the Celtics do win the title. But let's not jinx ourselves here. All right. If you've got any more questions about the origin stories and like how we built this platform here, please just hit us up on the Discord or let us know in the comments as well. Thanks for that question, Ozra. Next question from Jake Eisenberg's dad asks, how does this team stack up to the 08, 86, and 2022 championship / finals teams? Should we go to Joe? I think we should go to Joe here. Joe is sort of the history buff.
Joe.
Definitely.
What do you got for us, Joe, on this question?
It's hard. I mean, 86 sort of stands astride history, as maybe the greatest team ever. I've only watched like 5 games of that team. Like, did any of you guys get like there's like a Boston Celtics DVD set, like you could get it off Amazon 20 years ago. Like that was literally the only way I could watch old Celtics games. I remember buying the DVD and watching them. But it's hard to say because we had so much more exposure to every team since. The 20, you guys can all compare against the 22 team, so I might leave that for you.
Sure.
Who's the 08 team?
08, yeah.
It's hard to argue against the top end talent of that 08 team, but people forget like that team was super dominant through the regular season, but it was sort of expected. Bob Ryan was actually really he was like, I don't think there's going to be enough, ball to go around this team, but they were so dominant during that regular season and the defensively and for the way the game was played at that time, they were kind of perfectly constructed. I guess it feels like the 08 team felt like more of a sure thing, but then, man, it was real hairy through.
Dude.
It was real. Atlanta, man, was just made me vomit. And then Game 7 against Cleveland was like crazy. And then, man, I remember Rondo hitting this huge shot. I think it was in Game 6 because I think we beat Detroit in 6. I remember him like Rondo hitting a huge, huge jump shot. But that series was really close because Detroit had such a track record at that point too. Like they'd kind of done what we've done, where they were going to the conference finals every year for 5 years straight, and it really had to overcome a lot before it got there. This team, I feel, is a little bit. It's had that stuff. It's pre-baked. The 22 run was a lot of that experience. So how do I feel about it? I feel like it's more inevitable
than the 08 team. All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
I'll just add because I was listening to Bill Simmons earlier and he was recounting like some of the sort of Celtics history and like dominant team history as they approach the final round, the NBA Finals, and apparently that 08 team were not favorites going into.
I didn't.
Series.
Yeah.
When he said that, I was like, what?
Yeah.
And to be fair, okay, like we didn't have podcasts then, so it was harder to kind of aggregate the mood of national media, and I had no idea what Vegas was on. But that just must have surely been Vegas, like doing that thing they do with the line to get equal money on everyone. Like I can't fathom it. The Lakers weren't even that, like they really actually weren't that good that year. Like they got Powell later. It was the next 2 years that they were actually good. The 08 Lakers weren't like great. Like low key, the West wasn't that good that year.
So this was a really great question from Jake's dad, in my opinion. So the 08 team, there are parallels, but you nailed it, Joe. Like the top end talent of that team was pretty unreal. So like Kevin Garnett was third in MVP voting that year. He had won Defensive Player of the Year. He'd won the MVP alone 4 years earlier. Kobe did win the MVP that year. But what I did kind of take away, like the talent today is just different to the talent then. Like Chris Paul, a 2022-year-old Chris Paul was second in MVP voting that year. 23-year-old LeBron James was fourth. Like Chris Paul was never to quote Joe, a reality bender. Like he was an incredible player, fantastic player, but he's not. Like you look at the guys in the league like now between Jokic, Giannis, Luka, like all guys that kind of do stuff that are beyond what you think should really be possible for a single guy. So the talent is a little bit different. So like Garnett, yes, was third in MVP. I think you put him ahead of Tatum, impact-wise, just because like how good the defense was and how that was like part of their identity. But like depth-wise, Pierce, obviously great, and Ray Allen at the top. Like the talent is kind of absurd. But then Rondo was in his second year. Perkins, replacement level big man, I feel. Yeah. I'm also probably salty because of what Perkins has turned into in 2024.
Yeah, fairly.
Yeah, absolutely fair. We talked about Posey, PJ Brown, Sam Cassell. Like those are the guys. Not Eddie the same House. Level of Eddie House, but like not the same level of like your top six in 6 in 2024 is really fucking good.
I think our team it feels very pistonish. Actually, sorry, I feel like I'm sorry if I'm talking over people, but like it reminds me of the Pistons. Like, there was this other throwaway line Simmons had on one of his pods recently where he's like, I think they have the best guy, and how often does the best guy not win? I was like, happens a lot. Yeah. Happens an awful lot. Like 04, like especially I just ran through the exercise in my head and I was like, okay, let's throw out the MJ years, right? Like let's just go from 04 and throw out the Shaq and Kobe years because it's kind of unfair when they have two of them on the same team. But then like the Pistons won, okay? Then you skip ahead to
2014 Spurs. There we go.
Even you can go back to that 2011 Mavs. Like LeBron was LeBron in 2011. That's why it was such a big deal when he did the South Beach thing, right? Then even you could even say, the third, the 14 Spurs. You'd say, like honestly, the 15 Warriors. And I think this matchup has a very similar feel to me to those just strength in numbers Warriors against like Kyrie and LeBron, because Luka is so similar to LeBron in so many ways, offensively at least to my mind. Yeah. So I think we just have so much more talent. I really do.
Yeah, and that iteration of the Celtics beat LeBron in 08 and 2010 also, and LeBron would have been the best player in that series both times. Maybe in 08 you can make an argument for KG, but it's fucking LeBron James.
Man, 2010 Cavs, they won like 65 games or something like that.
Incredible team. Yeah. But look, that team was coached by Doc Rivers, and that I can't help, with the benefit of hindsight, give Joe Mazzulla the benefit there. So 86, obviously, I think leaps and bounds ahead of all teams. Jake, what do you think?
I was just like, it was a really fun exercise, and like kind of going back and forth with my dad, because I was like, again, it's so hard to. Once I started doing the exercise, like trying to compare players, I was like, I have no idea. I have no reference. I have no reference point outside of like highlights, which is like doesn't help you do anything outside unless you like know the era. Like Larry Bird, top 10 all-time player, maybe like whatever. Mikhail that year was 13th in MVP voting. Like I think him and Jalen are comparable ish. Like Jalen was All-NBA last year, probably should have been All-NBA this year if not for like the contracts, getting extra like Halliburton, Booker. There's some guys he probably should have been in. But I didn't like. Parrish was like was in 7 straight All-Star games, finished 4th, 7th, and 12th in the MVP voting. So like that big three alone is just like you talk about top end talent. You're talking about one of the best players of all time. Mikhail is like they only had 2 All-NBA teams, but like a top 15 player, and then just like a perennial All-Star big man, like year in, year out. Dennis Johnson, 4-time All-Star. 9 times all defense. And then in the wake of Bill Walton, well, Ainge was on the team, and he's like the kind of like he jumps out as like
he's the Derek White of that team to me.
Oh, but barely. Like I think like he was a one-time All-Star, but I wonder how much of that was like just the shine of that team. And like and then in the wake of Bill Walton passing away, I've just been hearing about how incredible he was. Bill Simmons did his classic, like talking about how incredible he was. That dude was coming off the bench for 18 minutes a night. So you're getting like one of the best players of all time coming kind of off the bench for 18 minutes a night on top of all the other talent. Like, fucking unimpeachable.
You ever watch Scott Widman shoot? I know that sounds like a deep cut. I'm not even trying to be funny.
Well, I left those two guys off my list because I was like, I don't think most people are going to know who those people are.
Scott Widman. Oh my gosh, bro. That dude was like, he was like a borderline all-star and is like, or he was like a high-level scorer. I wouldn't say he played for like the Kings previously. Scott Widman was unreal, man. Jerry Seastein was like kind of the Peyton Pritchard of that team. They were really, 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 really deep, man. And it's kind of hard to compare them.
We got time. We can do 10 minutes on the Wedman years if you like. I'm kidding. We're gonna get to a quick ad read, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about Bill Walton.
The NBA Finals begin June 6th, and instead of working like I should be or putting any effort into preparing for the next podcast, I'm sitting around daydreaming about getting myself to an NBA Finals game at TD Garden. Game Time makes getting NBA Finals tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip-off. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. Our guy Jake Eisenberg's dad recently traveled from Australia to Boston to catch a couple of games during round 2. I think there was some sort of black hole time dilation stuff involved in getting there. He's thankfully home safe now, but when he was there, he used the Game Time app to sign up with code CLNS and get himself an incredible deal on tickets. I'm scrolling through the Game Time app right now, and there's a huge range of tickets available for games 1 and 2 of the NBA Finals in Boston for a wide variety of prices. Seriously, I really wish I knew about the Game Time app when I went to Boston for the finals in 2022. There's some great ticket prices up there right now. I love that you can enable the all-in pricing feature, which just shows you the actual price of the ticket without any surprise costs at checkout. You can see the view from your seats before you purchase your tickets, and Game Time offers last-minute deals. You can hang out outside the arena, wait for a last-minute deal to pop up, and save up to 60% on tickets, whether it's sports, concert tickets, comedy, and so on. And Game Time ticket coverage means your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA Finals tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off your purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
Maybe if we ever rename the podcast, we could rename it to just the Wedman years. Only like real ball knowers.
That's legit. Yeah,
we might slice our audience down to almost nobody, but they'll be
fans. You just get the real ones.
Shoot.
Hell yeah.
Jake, I'll throw this question at you because you mentioned doing a bit of a deep dive into Bill Walton. But is current day Al Horford our like 2024 version of '86 Bill Walton?
Well, again, hard when you're not there, right? But so Bill Walton in the playoffs was able to play. He played 18 minutes a night. That was where he was at after all the injuries, and obviously was incredible in those minutes, right? I do think there's definitely some parallels between what Al Horford gives you. Like you've seen what Al Horford can do still without Kristaps Porzingis through these playoffs. Competition notwithstanding, and my new mantra, it's always an Al Horford series. You look at what happened to the Timberwolves in the conference finals, and Rudy Gobert in a vacuum is a better player than Al Horford, no question. But like Gobert tanked their offense. They just tilted everything towards Rudy, where like you have to pass the ball to him. It's like you send 2, you send help. Rudy Gobert touches the ball, and he might be like the worst offensive player among starters in all of the playoffs, among all teams. He provides vertical spacing and offensive rebounding. I know some people think that can kind of help you, but he just can't have the ball in his hands. It's a disaster. Whereas Al Horford, man, he'll give you 6 for 13 one night. He's still such a connective passer. He does not make mistakes. He's I mean, defensively, there's going to be some moments where he's not, there's going to be some glaring moments, but that's just the reality of today's NBA. Like, how many guys can switch on to Donovan Mitchell? How many guys can switch on to Luka? They don't really exist. Like, they just don't. And then providing all the other stuff that Al Horford gives you. This is assuming Kristaps Porzingis is back. But, man, like, Al Horford, Bobby Portis, I think, was up there for Sixth Man of the Year. Naz Reid won Sixth Man of the Year. I mean, Naz Reid's, he's giving you more off the bounce juice, but fucking Al Horford, man, while he gives you from a winning perspective, you just cannot overstate how good he is at winning basketball games.
And his body makes him such a versatile defender. Like, you're saying he's going to get exposed because Luka's going to hit a couple of step-back threes on him. Sure. He's going to hit step-back threes on whoever.
On Jalen, on Tatum. Yeah.
Man, I think Al Horford, I just don't think KP coming back from injury, it sort of seemed, people might disagree with me. I just think Horford's just going to be way more important than Porzingis. I think when we have Horford in the lineup, the only place where Luka's going to really want to attack maybe is Derek White. I'll take our chances on that. I just think Horford holds up so well in switches with Doncic personally. I think he's like engineered for it. Long arms, strong, still quick enough, smart. He's just a great option to have. If that's, is he going to be hunting out Al Horford? I'll take my chances, man. I'll take my chances. So, yeah, bring it on.
What do you reckon, Jackson?
Well, again, wasn't there for Bill Walton. Watched enough.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about no Bill Walton.
No, that's okay. That's
all right. No, like the uneducated version of me, like just looks at the raw numbers and thinking like he's more of a Porzingis, isn't he? Perennially injured. You get him for this one season. He's performed above expectations and whatnot, and potentially can swing the whole game. He won Sixth Man of the Year in '86, did he not, Walton? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, probably Al Horford could fit more of that mold in that respect, but just to echo what Joe was talking about. Yeah, I'm not afraid of any switch or any attacking matchup. If they try to attack Al Horford, I say go for it. I think no one is more motivated on this team to win a ring than Al Horford, and I think he'll do whatever it takes. I think he'll bite jugulars and he'll poke eyeballs and stuff, and he won't need to. He'll do it ethically, and he'll do it with sexiness, to bring that word back for the second time.
Yes.
But yeah, he's going to be massively important, and I think he's up to it.
Well, this is great here. Everyone was showered in Bill Walton juice in 1986. Absolutely. I have. That's a beautiful flavor. Yeah, okay. Yeah, pungent mushroom flavored.
He drink too much.
Singing Grateful Dead while it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I think Al Horford. Definitely, there's some parallels to that super sub, to that impact, and something that. Bill Walton and Bill Simmons talked about this, like in his kind of eulogy of Bill Walton, was like, that's a guy that understood the secret. And like that's my favorite part of the whole Bill Simmons book, is like that chat with Isaiah Thomas, like at one of the Vegas pools. Hopefully we have the same experience when we go to Vegas, having a chat with the, whatever the modern day version of Isaiah Thomas at the Vegas pool would be, understanding the Yeah, Kyrie Irving. Yeah, sure, probably. I've said some bad stuff. And I'm sure he's heard all of it. But Bill Walton understood the secret, right? And he was never really fully able to unleash it on the rest of the league due to the injury stuff. Horford doesn't have the injury stuff, but Horford absolutely understands the secret and what it means to contribute to winning basketball, Ben.
Yeah, no, I can't add to that. That's perfect. Let's move on. Another question from Jake's dad. Jake's dad peppered us with amazing sort of history-based questions here. He asks, who is more like Dennis Johnson, Derek White or Drew Holiday? Didn't we get Richard White's take on this and his son's likeness to Dennis Johnson, Jake?
We did a little bit. He did compare him to Dennis Johnson. I think the tricky part here is we kind of have two of them, which is awesome for the Celtics. And
hybrid.
But I think
is kind of a hybrid of both of them.
You look at pedigree, Dennis Johnson, the 4-time All-Star, 9 times All, like he's definitely resume wise more of a Drew Holiday. Yeah. But when I watched the highlights and I cut together one highlight Dennis, one highlight Derek White, Derek White trumped out to my eyeballs more so, Joe.
Right, interesting. Yeah, I mean, he, I know, Larry Bird always said he was the best player I've ever played with, which is kind of the type of thing that people will say about Derek White. And, in 20 years' time, Tatum will be like, Brown was awesome, but like Derek White, man, the most impactful.
Well, it's like the way the Porzingis talks about Derek White. It's like, you guys don't get it. He's so good. He's so good. but then you get the dumb shit like Josh Hart being like, I think Derek White, I could say, is more impactful than Tatum. And it's just like, well, then now we've lost the plot. But we don't have to do that. But yeah, Jackson, thoughts?
Again, before my time, I'll just go with what you guys say. But but Dennis Johnson was more like known for his defense than attack, yeah? Or was it both about the same?
Defensive playmaking, I want to say.
Yeah.
And
okay.
just like synergy with the rest of that team.
Sweet. All right, I'll go Buffalo then. Yeah.
Maybe another way to ask the question is: would you prefer one Dennis Johnson or one Dennis Johnson split into two players where you've siphoned off different skill sets into two different but somewhat equally effective players? Because that's kind of what we have, right? Going back to the hybrid analogy.
Yeah, it's a good problem.
Well, I like this. I'd probably take the two, to be honest.
Yes.
It reminds me. I had this friend. We worked together. Like I was doing a uni job. He'd graduated. He got me the job, and he was asked by his colleagues. He was like, they asked him, who would win in a cage fight between you and a clone of yourself? And he looked, and he said, neither. They'd fall in love.
Yes. There we go.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
And so this would be a love triangle, I think, in this place. if they were all to be transported to the same time, same place, it would be the perfect 3-guard lineup.
Yeah, they make beautiful babies. All right, let's get to this last question from Derek White's mistress. Rank the top 12 in the series. I might jump in here. I've got a top 12 ranking, and you guys can critique it as necessary. Luka, Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kyrie Irving, Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday, Derek White, Lively, Horford, PJ, Gafford, Derek Jones Jr. That's 12. And then I put PP ? Is he better than Derek Jones Jr.? I don't know. That's. I think that's a pretty safe ranking, but I'm open to hearing deviations from that.
Jackson?
I'd have Derek White above Kyrie Irving, to be perfectly honest. And you can call that bias, you can call that homer or take or whatever, but no, I think I would just rather have Derek White, and by proxy, I guess that puts him above Porzingis. But I'm doing that on the assumption that Porzingis may not be 100%. If you're going to take this all like where they are now versus all where they are when they're 100%, I find it very tough to disagree with your rankings there. But Kyrie Irving is relegated below Derek White. Don't ask me why. That's just the way that it is.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean,
subscribe to that.
We do forget that basketball's played on both ends, right? How's Kyrie going to go checking Derek White? I assume he's going to have the matchup most of the time.
He's going to have a tough time, Kyrie.
He's better defensively, is what the people are telling us.
Yeah, but whatever, man.
He has.
That's what I've been saying.
He has been better, but this is a different beast.
Hey, look, we've had them both. Who do you want on your team? Scala says we'll trade you straight up Kyrie for Derek White. Do you say yes?
Hanging that phone up.
Come on.
Absolutely no chance am I taking that cancer back. I don't care if he's come around and he's dropped all that insanity. No chance.
Yeah, look, we had the cancer. Jeff Teague was the chemo, and now we have a clean bill of Derek White.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, Derek White's going to live to 142.
Dennis Schroeder was the chemo, actually.
Yes, correct.
No, that was the remission, I think.
Yes, that's fair.
I think this is a good ranking. I think the point of this is to kind of illustrate like the Celtics have the top four. Like Luka 1, Tatum 2 is like the easiest part of this exercise. There are, and then the Kyrie Jaylen thing. I think it's pretty clearly Jaylen at this point, because I think the offense is close, and then defensively it's not close. So. Mm-hmm. You got to give the nod to Jaylen. Even if you want to make that like a wash or give the edge to Kyrie, it's very obviously. what's funny is that, like, Derek, I would have had all season well above Drew, but Drew has been so good in the playoffs. And I think the ability to guard up in the playoffs, a la Marcus Smart, you're reminded like how important that is in the playoffs. So his ability to guard up, guard bigger positions, and just blow stuff up. And then offensively, Drew's been just really fucking good in the playoffs. So Derek White, Drew, been awesome. Porzingis, obviously. I think Ben, maybe you wanted to be a little bit of a not homer by putting Al Horford below some other players there.
Precisely. That was that was the hardest part of the list.
I think that was a mistake, and you're a coward, and so you should. Like, I think, but I think that's the point. Is that the talent, like, overall, it just tilts massively in favor of the Celtics.
Yeah, note the lack of Celtics in the bottom portion of that list.
Yes.
Sorry,
I
go
did
ahead.
notice that, yes.
Look, I think it does. It does happen that the talent tilts in our favor. But JJ Redick had this great line. He's been on so many different podcasts. So I can't remember which one it was, but he was like, look, over a 7-game series, the best team always wins. Now, I could quibble about that, but the reason he gave, I just thought was I thought it was such a profound way to describe it. He says, because the team that wins presents a problem that the other team cannot solve. And I thought, that is so true. And I thought, okay, well, Luka's a problem, right? But I just think we present so many problems that they cannot solve. Chiefly, amongst them, we can make Luka and Kyrie have to play defense. They cannot. They are just not going to get out of it. There's a clip. I don't think we'll have time to get to it in the podcast, but just showing a quick way to get Luka into get him into action. Just a little pistol action with Jalen and Drew on one side. Boom, he's in there. I don't think that other teams have the depth. It's not even so much about the talent gap. It's about the skill sets, right, and the problems that they create.
Yeah,
that's
man.
on the point. Jacob's condescending.
No. That's
when is he not?
That's the whole thing of this Celtics team. There's nowhere to hide. There is nowhere to hide
on both ends.
On both ends, and the Mavs were able to hide Luka and Kyrie, but specifically Luka. Luka just didn't move. He was just hanging out for this whole series on Jaden McDaniels, just in the corner, and they do not involve anyone in any of these actions. And you go back to, like, the Wolves kind of like perception-wise have a good offense because of how well they played against Phoenix and how well they played against Denver, but that is not the reality of their offense, and it became very, very obvious against a team that had a capable defense or that was like up to the challenge in a way that Denver, not to go side tangent, but like Denver got caught snapping in those first 2 games, and if those 2 games like get played again when Denver knows in hindsight that they actually got smoked, I wonder what the series looks like. Anyway,
glad it worked out that way.
Worked out perfectly for the Celtics, because we don't have. You talk about problems you can't solve. Celtics cannot solve the Jokic problem. Like, that's just something that you cannot solve. But yeah, there's nowhere to hide. You saw it in the Pacers series where the Pacers' 2 best defenders, Siakam and Nesmith, are on Jalen and Jason. So what do the Celtics do in crunch time? Game 1, they run Derek White, Drew Holiday, screen rolls, and it's like, are we trying to hide? Are we trying to switch? It just gets them moving and it makes them work. And you've got 2 guys you really trust with the ball in your hands to make plays and put pressure on the defense, get the defense in rotation, and all of a sudden you've got Jalen and Jason attacking in more advantageous spots, or you're just winning those matchups. So you're right, Joe. It's like, one, there's a talent piece of this, but also the skill sets, Jackson, like, of the Celtics to take advantage of the Mavs in a way that they haven't had to deal with before.
Yeah, I think this is going to be, man. I'm picking Celtics in 5.
Wow.
Okay. Can you expand on that? Just, we've got like 2 minutes and then we got to wrap up.
I know. I'll try and keep it brief. For all the reasons outlined above, I don't think the Mavs are. I think they're more of a 5 seed than a 1 seed. I think we're a true 1 seed. So it's just straight resume stuff. I think we're going to make Luka have to play defense. I think we are well set up to switch onto him, right, in a way that clearly Minnesota wasn't. I think we can switch 1 through 5 onto him. And let's roll, man. Like, we're just going to bomb a lot of threes.
Yep.
And I just don't see the mental. I don't see Luka's being able to apply the same sort of mental pressure on us that I feel like Denver could have.
Go ahead, Jackson. You go. I got something to say about that.
I sign off on 5. I'm hoping 4 because I'm on game 4 of the playback and I want to be there for the coronation. I want to be drunk out of my mind. But if we want to make it like, torn between winning in 4 and winning in 5, so it's on the home court, because I feel like every time Tatum and Brown have won the conference finals, it's been elsewhere. So to have it on the floor would be ideal. Yeah, I think you can just probably pencil Luka in for 40. 45 even, but if he has to take every single shot and work all the time, if Luka's scoring is 40, fantastic. You strangle Kyrie down because you overwork him on the defensive end and he winds up with less than 20, then that's a wrap. That's going to be 4 or 5 games max. The key is Kyrie, and I think he won't be up to it.
Joe made a great point on the mental pressure.
I have to say, if you're listening to the audio pod and you're wondering why we're all cracking up during Jackson's comment, it's because of Pete's hilarious comment.
Pete in the chat, love the Kiwi accent, mental pressure rules. And 1, it's hilarious, but 2, but you're absolutely right, Joe, and you saw it in Minnesota. They were not mentally prepared for what Luka did to them in the first quarter. And I actually am really happy that the Minnesota went down the way that they did, with Luka going God mode. So you're not going to be surprised when Luka has a 20-point quarter. It's like you just have to have the mental fortitude to believe in what you do, believe in the ability to hit back, understand that eventually he's going to cool off. He's not going to have 80 points in a game. And if he does, we'll move on to game 2. But like, I believe in this Celtics mental fortitude, and Joe Mazzulla, man, I believe in what he's instilled in this team mentally. He has preached mindset so much this season. And again, he had just to fucking hang it in the Louvre, to quote Jaylen Brown, asking Joe Mazzulla, hang it in the Louvre. Jaylen Brown, someone asked Joe Mazzulla about like Kyrie Irving being the villain, and Joe Mazzulla goes, "We're all a villain in someone's eyes." Yes. And the reporter just, by the way, just goes like, yeah, no, yeah, totally. And then like tries to like get him to answer the question about Kyrie. It's like hilarious that the reporter like just agreed with Joe Mazzulla. Like, we're all a villain in someone's eyes. We're weaponizing our time off. Like, we're trying to beat these guys in the film room. We're creating havoc in practice. Like, I believe in the mental fortitude of this team. I believe in what they've been through in the 22 finals. I don't think they're going to be rattled by Luka Doncic having a 20-point quarter. They're going to keep chugging along. They're going to keep doing what they do, keep moving the ball, keep shooting threes, keep playing defense. And I think the Pacers were a good test for that, because the Pacers don't stop, dude. Offensively, they have a much better offense than the Mavs. Mm-hmm. Like, I know everyone gets caught up in the whole Luka Kyrie thing, which is hilarious how every podcast starts with that, when like really the reason the Mavs are where they are is because of their fucking defense. The Pacers offense is superior, like in every fucking statistical way. But Luka Doncic hits the cool step backs over Rudy Gobert. But like, overall, offensively, they are not that dominant. Great test for the Celtics. They've felt what it feels like to like not be able to get stops. And then like to have that feeling and to be able to know, which is like keep going. Doesn't matter till the buzzer, 18-point comeback, steal it at the buzzer, game 1, force overtime. You just keep playing, believe in what you can, believe in your work, believe in your journey. Let's fucking go, dude.
Yes.
I'm ready.
Fired up. We have to wait 4 more days now until the game starts. We could honestly talk about this series for another hour. We do have to wrap up, though. I'm excited for Luka's Apple Watch to tell him that he's hit his move goal halfway through the first quarter. Celtics. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back later tonight at 9 p.m. U.S. Eastern Standard Time with Chris Forsberg of NBC Sports Boston to break down the series even further. Jackson, Joe, Jake, love your work, guys. Until next time, go Celtics.
I love the Celtics!